deception is the only thing that you seem to know. And you thought that you'd be safe in your tower.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Young's creation. It's Friday. It's the 20th of March, 2026. The spring equinox is upon us. Oh boy, what's coming? All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated. I already said that, didn't I? I'm a little bit discombobulated today. I had a little bit of a power outage, and all my clocks are out of whack, and I'm looking at the time and say, wait a second, I got to look at the computer. Oh, look, I'm missing my cue here. Anyway, it's a crazy Friday, TGIF, and welcome to the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist, your host of this broadcasting madness, and yeah, there's plenty of that to go around. And I got to say, you know, first of all, would you go to a daycare center and where there's a whole bunch of, you know, infants and toddlers running around? Would you go into a daycare center and throw a whole bunch of loaded guns on the floor? No, I don't think so, okay? Well, because they're just not emotionally mature. They don't know the danger, okay? I mean, this is common sense. Well, I got to tell you, humanity, you are infantile in your maturity right now. Humanity has got the weapons of war that can destroy this planet over and over and over again. And you think about, you know, in the past several centuries or even millennia, how many hundreds of trillions of dollars have been spent manufacturing and deploying weapons of war to kill people, destroy stuff, and then go back in and have to rebuild what you've already destroyed, and then go back and destroy it again and kill more people. And this goes on over and over and over again. Why, you might ask? Why do we do this? What kind of species are we? Why is it that we're so wrapped up in self-gratification? We have to have money and power. And that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. It's self-gratification, lust for money and power. What is the point of money? Money is, you know, so that you can gratify yourself. You know, get the things that you want, the toys, all the comforts and all that type of stuff. You know, I mean, this is where humanity's mindset is. I mean, and it's all coming to a head. I mean, what's going on over there in the Middle East, you know, is absolute insanity. Just insanity. And, you know, the world is seeing this. Maybe this is the shift that everybody is talking about. Maybe this is the great awakening. People are starting to understand that the pursuit of money and power is an exercise in futility. You know, you can't take it with you. We've said that many times on this broadcast. You come into this world naked, you're going to go out naked. And that's all there is to it. And all that you get to take is whatever love that you were able to amass by your actions and deeds while you live this life. And I've said that numerous times before. Humanity, if your life, if your incarnation and your life is a test, well, most of us are failing it. And we're watching the possible demise of this entire civilization right now. What's about to happen if Trump goes in there and destroys that gas facility? What's it called? The PARS field, the South PARS field. If he goes in there and destroys that, billions of people will die. I mean, this is going to be a huge domino that's going to just destroy civilization. And I mean, I don't know, I don't know what the solution is. But I mean, humanity, you've got to figure this stuff out. And unfortunately, I don't think that our world leaders have the emotional maturity to see what they're doing. Now, we've heard numerous times, you know, through years and years and years about how, you know, the empires rise and they fall. You know, the Roman Empire rose and it fell, and you know, the Egyptians rose and they fell, and the Mayans rose and they fell. The Aztecs rose and they fell. All these civilizations, and some of them go back tens of thousands of years, are only now starting to understand some of the artifacts that archaeologists have been finding, say, oh my God, this goes back tens of thousands of years. So they have to rewrite history, and they have to ask the question, what happened to this great civilization? What happened? I want to go back to this issue about, the huge megastructures that they discovered underneath the pyramids in Giza. Those things are real. People just don't want to talk about it because it indicates that, yes, there was at some point way, way, way long ago. I mean, we're talking possibly hundreds of thousands of years ago that there were civilizations that rose and fell on this planet. I mean, we've all heard about the lost city of Atlantis, and we've heard about that. Now, I don't know if all of this stuff is true, but I do believe it. I believe it. I mean, I've seen a bunch of this stuff, I know that I'm getting a little bit deep on this particular subject here, but the bottom line here is that we as a species have the ability and the wherewithal and the technology to completely destroy civilization on this planet. And there's talk about nuclear weapons being floated around. Nuclear bombs, nuclear missiles, suitcase nukes and stuff like that. And of course, they're talking about these drones that went missing from Fort Campbell. And, possible FBI is warning that there's a possible terrorist attack that could happen in California. And of course, it would be the Iranians. Of course it would be. Wouldn't be anybody else. The Iranians are really known for their assassinations and false flags, aren't they? Is it those Iranians? I don't know. There's another country out there, another country that seems to be real good at that. Real good at that. Of course, it would never be them. No, we can't say that. No. No, that would be antiseptic. Antiseptic, yeah, right. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because we, as a species, have got to understand that we have the ability to completely destroy all of civilization. And we might be seeing that unfold. I don't know. I just don't know. But the bottom line here is we need to wake up. We need to pay attention. Because, folks, and I'm just going to do this once. Yeah, okay, that's all I'm going to play because otherwise I'll get a strike against my account. But you get the idea. Things are not looking like they're going to get a whole lot better anytime soon. And this is all being done by design. And I started this broadcast off by announcing that, this is the spring equinox. Isn't today it? Let me see. What's my calendar say? What's the first day of spring? Where the hell is my calendar here? Oh, I moved it. It's one of those deals, I just cleaned up the place and now I can't find anything. But anyway, here it is, the spring equinox, and there are some people that believe that you start off the new season with a blood sacrifice. Yeah. And again, this is not necessarily what I believe, and it may not necessarily what you believe, but there are people that do believe that blood sacrifice. And when I say that, I don't mean necessarily having somebody go and sit on an altar and then somebody comes up and stabs them and in some religious, ritualistic killing or something like that. We know that happens. But a blood sacrifice can also mean a war. Or maybe a hokey-pokey thingy-dingy, or maybe lipid particles or spike proteins or graphene oxide or 5G microwave frequencies or food additives, There's all different ways that you can, shall we say, unalive people. And all of them, they're perfectly easily categorized as blood sacrifices. And I'm only throwing that out there because, this is what we're sort of witnessing before our eyes. And there are people, like I said, and you know it, there are people out there that believe that. This is the whole thing about the Epstein thing, they kill people. They eat people. This is, I know I'm going off on a little bit of a rant here, but how do we communicate to our brethren, our fellow human beings, that somehow we have got to elevate ourselves. We have to mature. We have to get beyond our desire for self-gratification and ego strokes. And unfortunately, that's the main, modus operandi for a lot of people. And in a somewhat semi-related topic, of course, you regular listeners know that I have a history, and when it comes to broadcasting, when it comes to the 9/11 attacks, the September 11th, 2001 attacks, the documentaries I made, the questions that I raised. And here we are coming up on the 25th anniversary of that horrific event. And yes, there are people that are, posting on social media a renewed interest into finding out what the heck happened. And unfortunately, there are people out there that want to point accusatory fingers in one direction or another and say, this guy's a grifter, or this guy is this, or this guy is that. I'm very well documented and on the record for many, 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 many years saying that, look at whatever issue or cause that you're involved with, whether it be the 9/11 issue or the chemtrails issue or the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy issue or whatever issue, if you're in it for the ego stroke or for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons. I've said that for a long time. This is why I gave my middle finger to the 9/11 truth movement years and years and years ago, because there was so much infighting and bickering and, controversy. This guy's wrong and this guy's doing this and then I'm sorry. I'm not into partaking in that type of a dialogue or a discussion. So and I wanted to point that out because there's some people all of a sudden out of nowhere. I'm getting posts on X, saying, "Hey, you're a grifter. Hey, vonKleist, you're this." I haven't even been posting about this stuff. Like I said, I backed away from the whole 9/11 thing years ago. I just didn't want to go and wrestle in the mud with all these people who were more interested, in trying to take somebody down and insult them and, degrade them in an effort to make themselves look big. I mean, that is like the oldest methodology in the world. You insult people, you try to take them down so you make yourself look big. I have no desire in doing that. I don't need it. I don't care about it. I was never in it for the money or the ego strokes. But unfortunately, there are too many people that are. And the one issue, and I just posted a video on the YouTube channel there. I'll have it posted on the website at some point, or maybe over the weekend. But it's a compilation of 4 different angles of the plane, the Flight 175 supposedly, that slammed into the South Tower. And in all 4 of these video clips, there is this issue called the flash. Now, I remember when I was down and dirty and all of this 9/11 stuff 20 years ago, and some of the 9/11 truthers said to me, well, if you don't know what that flash is, you shouldn't talk about it. And I said, well, if we don't talk about it, how will we ever know what it is? But that flash is really interesting because there are people that came out and said, the no-planers. Yeah, there were no planes. Some people say there were no planes. It was all CGI, computer graphic technology, and that it was holograms. Yeah, that's what it was, holograms. There were no planes. They shot holograms. Everybody in New York saw a hologram of a plane. Okay, all right. Well, let's go with that. Let's say there were no planes. Let's say that it was CGI. Well, then I have to ask the question: if the CGI was created and they wanted to fool everybody, then why is there a flash? What is this flash that occurs just before the plane hits the tower? Why would that be inserted? And what was that flash? We see people don't want to talk about that. And again, I can't give any definitive answer. And if I was to speculate what I thought it was, then I would be dabbling in conspiracy theory. And I was very careful when I produced those documentaries not to theorize. I asked questions based upon photographic and video evidence. And I said, well, maybe it could be this, it could be that, but I never came out and said, that's what it was. There were some people saying, yeah, well, there was something attached to the belly of the plane. It was a missile. That's what it was. It was a missile. And I wouldn't go along with that. I wouldn't say that it was a missile. I said that it appears that there is something in the belly of the plane, and Colonel George Nelson agreed, and several other airline pilots that saw the videos, they agreed too. It looks like there's something in the bottom of the plane. But I wouldn't say one way or the other. Was it a missile? Was it a bomb? I don't know what it was. But frankly, I don't care. I don't care if it was Pee Wee Herman strapped to the bottom of the plane with duct tape. Whatever it is that's there, it shouldn't be there, and it deserves questioning. And the same thing goes with the flash. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because all of a sudden, like I said, there's a renewed interest in the 9/11 attacks. And in light of the fact that we are on the cusp of what is looking like is going to develop into World War III, and again, I refer to this as a possible blood sacrifice by some people. So anyway, we're on the cusp of this, and so people are starting to say, wait a second, there is a certain group of individuals that are really good at deception. They're really good at lying. They're really good at false flags and assassinations. They're really good at deception. Remember that slogan? By means of deception, thou shalt make war. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. But there's so much going on as far as the developments in the Middle East there, and if things go down the way they're looking like they could possibly go down, I mean, if Trump hits those the Pars gas supply, the South Pars gas field, that's going to be an absolute global catastrophe. I mean, they're blowing up stuff that's going to take years and years and years to replace. And the ripple effect across the globe is going to be felt by everybody, and I don't care where you are. Some people saying, oh, man, I got to get out of the States. I'm going to go to some other place in the world, There's no place you can go. I mean, there's no place you can hide. I mean, I was down in Argentina for a few years, and I wouldn't want to be down there right now. It's a mess. I wouldn't want to be anywhere than where I am right now. And yeah, even where we are, wherever you are, we're all going to have to deal with the ripple effect, if we will, the ramifications of what's going on over there in the Middle East. Anyway, I'm on a bit of a soap opera right now, but I'm just, I was thinking about that this morning. I said, when is humanity going to grow up? When are we finally going to get past this unfounded notion that we have to assimilate or amass all kinds of stuff and wealth and cars and homes and stuff like that? You can't take it with you. And I know I'm repeating myself. Anyway, I'm going to open the phone lines. Yeah, I've got a couple of things that were really preying on my mind, and those were a couple of them. But anyway, the phone lines are open. If you want to give a call, I'd like to know if you think humanity is going to survive this mess. And the phone number here is 215-867-8255. In the meantime, going through the social media posts and everything, there's something that Anthony Aguilar had posted in regard to this possible terrorist attack that we might see, and how it relates to the 9/11 attack. I'm going to let him explain what's going on. Remember Larry Silverstein? Yeah. Pull it? Yeah. Lucky Larry, they called him. Anyway, here's Anthony Aguilar.
I have questions.
I have questions,
and
too.
And perhaps a word of warning. Larry Silverstein is a prominent New York real estate developer who signed a 99-year lease for the World Trade Center in July of 2001, just 6 weeks before the 9/11 attacks. Following the destruction of the World Trade Center, he led the site's reconstruction and engaged in 6 years of litigation, ultimately receiving $4.55 billion in insurance payouts. Notably, on September 11th, 2001, Silverstein was not in his office at the top of the Twin Towers that very morning.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there because callers take priority here. We'll get back to Anthony Aguilar in a couple of seconds because this is an important issue. And, Larry Silverstein has got his fingers in some kind of skullduggery that might result in, shall we say, an escalation here at home. Anyway, let's go to the phones. Let me see. I think that's Cynthia, I'll bet you. Hello, girl.
Hey.
Hey, what?
Hey, I hate to be a downer, but I think people need to be taking a closer look at the Jared Kushner connection.
Oh, yeah.
His family was very close to Netanyahu
mm-hmm.
and part of Trump's family.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, Jared Kushner, he's not a good guy. Not at all.
So that kind of reflects on Trump and his motives and his behavior.
Well, in Trump's first term, a lot of people heard him talking, and he was talking good talk in his first term, but he had some bad people in his cabinet and bad intel given to him. And so here he is in the second term, and history's repeating itself. I don't know how or why he surrounded himself with these people, but maybe he was compromised. Maybe that's not even the real Trump anymore. I don't know. But you're right. Kushner, Lutnick, all of these people, they're not good people.
By way of deception, thou shalt make war.
Bingo.
And Trump was a trained actor, right?
I don't know if he was a trained actor, but he sure is a good actor, whether he got trained or not.
Exactly. I hate to actually admit it because I've been in the past, in favor of Trump, but I'm no longer because I'm a constitutionalist, and his war effort, which it actually was a war, is not constitutional, and the restraints should be taken off.
Yeah, well, we can go down into that debate whether or not it's constitutional, but and I've quoted the document numerous times on this broadcast. It's here it is. I happen to have it right in front of me. Public Law 102-25, and it was signed April 6th of 1991 by George Bush. And in Section 3, the definitions. Section 3, line 3, it says here, and I'm reading, it says the term Persian Gulf conflict, unquote, conflict. They use that word conflict. They didn't call it a war. It was a conflict. But it says here, it says the Persian Gulf conflict means the period beginning on August 2nd, 1990, and ending thereafter on the date prescribed by presidential proclamation or by law. Now, to the best of my knowledge, they never had a presidential proclamation or a law to end the, quote, Persian Gulf conflict, which means that the president doesn't need congressional approval. It's already on the books. So technically, we have been at war, or shall I say, at conflict, since 1990. Okay? 36 years.
Was not even a citizen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he
immigrated here as a teenager, been promoted by Prescott Bush, and Prescott Bush is the one that they had, JFK had agreements that he would not hold office, and obviously there was an assassination and everything fell apart on that. But George H.W. Bush wasn't even a citizen. People don't realize that there was no accurate vetting of our candidates.
Well, Prescott Bush goes all the way back to World War II. He was supplying Adolf Hitler with hardware, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is how they support both sides of the war.
Right, technology. He actually was a criminal, and he escaped prosecution somehow. Some money under the table.
Yeah, well, it's just been going on for year after year after year. And that's why I'm saying, humanity has got to mature. We are infantile in our emotional and intellectual capacities if we still think that the pursuit of stuff is the reason we're here. Okay, go ahead.
If go back to the Constitution, that you have to be a natural-born citizen, and that no accurate vetting was done, and the Bushes took us into all of these. Basically, they're wars, whether people call them a conflict or not. They're wars.
Yeah, I agree.
Voted on by the Senate, and they couldn't lawfully, constitutionally sign anything. But we didn't know. We didn't know better. I don't know about you. I was a student at the time, or I was in practice. And I didn't have the time to go digging around, but there were people that did with Republic Broadcasting. They put out the word 17 years ago regarding George H.W. Bush. Too late for George H.W., but maybe not too late for the other Bush. Well, I guess it would have been almost too late for the Bush. Yeah, 2004.
Yeah, well,
So-
back in the 90s when I was with Joyce and we were running all over the country trying to help the veterans, yeah, I was very much aware of the Bush family, the Bush dynasty's background. That was something that, that we were basically screaming from the rooftops about.
I wish you would talk about that more, because I think all of those men who went off to war and got injured needed to understand that it was not constitutional and they were sold out by the politicians. They need to know this. They need to organize and take back our country.
Well, I don't know. It might be too little, too late. Well, that was the whole point of what our efforts were what our efforts were back in 30 years ago, is trying to get people to understand that yes, our Constitution has been suspended, it has been perverted, et cetera, et cetera. That happened many, 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 many years ago. And like you, I was very excited when Trump was campaigning for his first term. And remember when he was there, he was saying, our job, we're going to return this government to you, the people. And everybody was screaming, yeah, okay, that's great. That's the way it's supposed to be. So I was on board with all of that stuff. But now it is here. Yeah, it's literally 10 years after the fact. I mean, because he was elected in 2016. And here it is, 10 years after the fact, and it's a complete opposite. He's done exactly the opposite, which leads me to believe that he has either been replaced or he's been compromised or I don't know, central casting, drones, I don't know.
Well, I think those officers that Obama fired, the flag officers, the high-ranking officers who were constitutionalists, I think we need to have more knowledge about who they are and whether we shouldn't be supporting them to run for office, because they would be perhaps a better match for that responsibilities of that office than the people that have been promoted by the globalists. And I don't know who they are, but I would like to know. I would like to be supportive.
Yeah, well, we may be in a position of too little, too late, because things are happening very, very quickly over there in the Middle East, and we're already seeing the prices spike at the gas pump, and that's going to result in everything going up. I mean, because everything has to be transported. So if the price of fuel goes up for all the trucks and all the cars and every vehicle, I mean, that means the price of goods are going to go up. Food's going to go up. All commodities are going to go up. I mean, we're in a no-win situation right now. And if Trump follows through and takes out those liquid natural gas fields, all hell's going to break loose. Because people won't have water. As a matter of fact, a lot of those cargo ships that are stuck in the Strait of Hormuz right now, they can't berth anywhere, they can't land anywhere, and they're running out of drinking water. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of sailors on these ships that don't have water to drink, and they can't land anywhere to get water. I mean, this is a humanitarian crisis right now. People don't even think about that. Anyway, go ahead. I'll let you rant for a little bit, and then I'm going to move on.
I encourage you to continue speaking out and think about the hologram issue. How else are they going to pull off the spaceships?
Yeah.
Hologram.
Yeah, well, that's the Operation Bluebeam. I mean, that's on the table. I mean, that could happen any time now, especially if these idiots start lobbing nuclear weapons. I have a feeling that it's happened before, that the nuclear technology will be rendered, shall we say, ineffective. So we heard about the possible launches of nuclear missiles that all of a sudden they couldn't get launched for whatever reason. The whole system's shut down and nobody had any explanation. So what happened? Some people say it's the extraterrestrials, the ET, said, no, we're not going to let you blow up this planet. So if that's true, and if there are ETs out there, and they are monitoring this, and I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't be, and if these emotional infants with their fingers on the buttons, like I was saying on the outset of this broadcast, if these idiots start pushing buttons to destroy the planet, ET might come in there and just slap them and say, no, that's not going to happen. So maybe that will be the shall we say, the introduction to Operation Bluebeam. I don't know. Anyway, you got anything else, Cynthia? Because I'm going to move on otherwise.
Thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you for your contribution. You take care, sweetie.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay. Yeah, I don't know which way it's going to go, folks. I don't have the answers. I have a lot of questions, and I'm sure you listeners do too. But I don't know. We're just going to have to sit back and grab your popcorn, as they say.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And as always, if you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and hit the sponsors page, the advertisers page, a button rather, it'll take you down to an area where you can get information about Get More Tank, how and why this fuel catalyst is such a good thing for your vehicle. And now more than ever, with the price of fuel going up, gasoline, have you seen it? It's going up. The average is going up, like 30, 40 cents around here just in the past 2 days. And it's not going to be going down anytime soon, folks. Yeah, I mean, we're talking the possibility of oil hitting like $200 or more per barrel. Yeah, the United States is a good producer of fuel. Yeah, we got some reserves. But that doesn't stop the greed of the oil companies trying to capitalize on the world situation. So the bottom line here is it doesn't make sense for you not to be trying Get More Tank, because your mileage will improve no matter what your vehicle year, make, or model is. Depends on that, of course, and your driving habits. But if you're getting 20% better mileage, you're saving a ton of money at the gas pump. So if you haven't tried it, folks, that's why I've been standing by this product for the past couple of years, because it works. And your car is going to run better. You got more power. It runs cleaner. The engine runs better, and you get better mileage. It's a no-brainer, folks. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and Get More Tank. All right, it's 38 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in, and I wanted to get back to this audio clip from Anthony Aguilar, and of course he's one of many military veterans who's been screaming about the war in Gaza, the genocide, et cetera, and now with the escalation in the Middle East, what's going on with this Iran war, and also the scuttlebutt right now, the FBI putting out a warning that we could see a terrorist attack in California. And of course it will be Iran. Well, again, I'm going to start this clip from the beginning. It's about 4 minutes, but it's worth every minute because it relates directly to where I started today's broadcast with the 9/11 issue. All right, so here's Anthony Aguilar.
I have questions and perhaps a word of warning. Larry Silverstein is a prominent New York real estate developer who signed a 99-year lease for the World Trade Center in July of 2001, just 6 weeks before the 9/11 attacks. Following the destruction of the World Trade Center, he led the site's reconstruction and engaged in 6 years of litigation, ultimately receiving $4.55 billion in insurance payouts. Notably, on September 11th, 2001, Silverstein was not in his office at the top of the Twin Towers that very morning. Silverstein also owned 7 World Trade Center, which was also destroyed on 9/11. Coincidentally, Lucky Larry owns the USbanktower in downtown Los Angeles, California, the exact city that the Trump administration has warned of a possible Iranian attack or a sleeper cell operation. Silverstein Properties acquired USbanktower in 2020 for $430 million, 6 years ago. Hardly not the coincidence of his purchase of the World Trade Center. But 2 weeks ago, Silverstein Properties renewed a massive insurance policy to include terrorism insurance coverage, largely governed by the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act, or the TRIA, which enables businesses to recover from attacks by sharing losses between private insurers and the federal government. This current program ends in 2027. The $430 million acquisition involved Israeli insurance firms Migdal Insurance Company Ltd. and Menorah Miftavjam Insurance Ltd., who entered a joint venture with Silverstein Properties. Also notable is this man, Howard Lutnick. Howard is the current U.S. Secretary of Commerce, appointed by Trump. Lutnick is famous for also being conveniently not present on 9/11, though he worked in the World Trade Center, and he never missed a day of work until 9/11. In summary, the same man who knew not to be at work on 9/11, who leased the World Trade Center just 6 weeks before 9/11, and made billions from the 9/11 attacks, is the same man who owns one of the tallest skyscrapers in Los Angeles and recently took out a monumental insurance claim. And the other man, Howard Lutnick, is in Trump's cabinet, who also knew not to be at work on 9/11. And the insurance claim is held by two Israeli insurance companies that, if they pay out before the end of 2027, the United States government will pay part of it. Let that sink in. If you work in Los Angeles or in the Los Angeles USbanktower, be alert. Pay attention to any changes in work patterns or unusual activity. It very likely will not be a terrorist attack, but rather a false flag intended to kill Americans to foment support for Israel's war.
Okay, well, I'm going to pause it there for a second. It's almost done. But keep your eyes open for art students doing projects in that tower. I just thought I'd throw that in there. This, you can put the puzzle pieces together.
Everything in life has a pattern. And a coincidence is simply the moment when the pattern becomes briefly visible. We can see that. Stay vigilant. Stay alert.
And I think we will. And I have to ask the question, how many coincidences have to happen before the coincidences are no longer coincidences? And yeah, it was Howard Lutnick that said that he didn't go to the Twin Towers that day because he was taking his son to the first day of school. Well, let's see. They did a little research. His first day of school for Howard Lutnick's son was on September 6th, not September 11th. Okay, what do they say? A lie needs another lie for support, but the truth will stand alone. Yeah, okay. Anyway, let me see. What else have we got here? Okay. Here is the price of a gallon has gone up nearly $1 in the past 2.5 weeks in some areas. I mean, we're talking about $6, $7, $8 a gallon in some areas. And anyway, there's an explanation for that.
We have some major Iran war news right now. Get ready for gas prices to potentially soar even more. So in the past 24 hours, Israel, with the blessing of Donald Trump,
hold on, caller,
struck an Iranian natural gas processing plant. Now Trump is saying, according to the Wall Street Journal, we don't want any more of those strikes. Onto that strike, the Iranians have launched attacks on Qatar's LNG gas terminal, one of the largest exporting LNG terminals. At the same time, the price of gas has already risen today to $3.84 for a gallon of gas in the United States of America. That's up 86 cents, nearly $1 in just 2.5 weeks. As a result of the attacks, Iran has halted gas flow to Iraq, according to Reuters. Very serious situation. I'll have more updates for you very soon. As always, spread the word and follow along to stay up to date on all the news you need to know about there'll be much more to come very soon. So stay tuned for all the news you need to know about.
Yeah, and okay, caller, when you called in, I know you were listening to your device or your computer or something like that. So when you call in, you got to listen to the phone, and they I guess they got confused and hung up. But you can call back again. Anyway, Tucker Carlson was having a conversation with Joe Kent, and I want to remind you, I talked about this yesterday, is that back in October of last year, now remember, okay, there we go. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll get to that in a minute. But, okay, caller, you're on the air. Who are you, and where are you calling from?
Okay, this is Ray from Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, Ray, how you doing, buddy?
Fine. You know, it's kind of interesting. You and I woke up at the same time 30 years ago, but the only thing was that you're active the whole time, and I was sitting by the side watching things. And I did pay attention to all the 9/11 and the freedom people that were in Cincinnati, and I looked at their tapes and all of that.
Yeah.
And the CDs, and everything you said is right. Of course, you probably can't mention that Ludnick and the owner of the place, they happen to be Jewish. So I don't know whether that makes any effect or not. And then the Ludnick, you know, well, they did say that Ludnick was missing that day, and you pointed out the fact that he went to school the wrong time. Yeah, and also there's something that was mentioned at the time, that Yahoo at that time was going to go to Manhattan to give a talk for fundraising. And his security said, you can't go there. You can't go there. Well, why not? I want to go. I'm going to collect money, all right? So they finally talked him out of it, and he went to New Jersey, okay? And so he was actually in New Jersey at that time when the towers were hit.
How convenient.
So therefore, another indication that the Israelis knew it was going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. And then, of course, there's the situation with the dancing Israelis that were filming there to, quote, document the event. Yeah, I mean, there was no doubt that they had prior knowledge. And
and George Bush, relative, took over the security of the building several weeks before it happened.
Right.
And people who came in on Monday saw all this dust, cement dust on all of their clothes. There were certain floors that were blocked. You couldn't get off at. And on the weekend, nobody was able in the building, and there was workers in there. I mean, there's so much evidence. And also, I forgot his name now, the one who owned the building. What's his name?
You mean Larry Silverstein?
Yeah, Larry Silverstein, yeah. And he's been shown, I'm sure you've seen it, on TV, and it was about Building 7. And he said, so we told him to pull it.
Right.
So, and that term, of course, is demolition.
Right.
And the destruction of that building was an absolute typical demolition event. So there's so much evidence. And George Bush, I think, in one of the biggest videos for people to see is George Bush when he was reading a book to the third graders in some school somewhere
down in Florida.
And they
yeah,
came up and whispered in his ear that the Twin Towers were down. He just shook his head a little bit and went on reading the book. Now, if that isn't evidence that he knew something was going on, that any human being would have leaped to their feet, screamed, run in the other room, what's going on? And, of course, he didn't do that. So the foreknowledge was obvious, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's no doubt about it. And, you know, I covered the whole issue. All the stuff that you've talked about is in the documentary 9/11 Ripple Effect, which is the sequel to 9/11 in Plain Sight. And they're both available at my website, DaveVonKleist.com, and you can watch them anytime that you want. And they're out there on BitChute. YouTube, I think, has got one of them. Anyway, but yeah, go to the website, DaveVonKleist.com, and click on the 9/11 button, and it'll take you down to where you can watch both of the documentary films. So, yeah, everything that you said is covered in there.
Yeah, I don't want to take much of your time because you do such a great job. But I do want to say I have a solution to the problem, and you've been asking for that for weeks.
What's
but
the
there's
solution?
only two wrongs with my solution to solving a problem that our nation is in, and that is it requires a large response from the people. Have the people wake up and do something in large numbers, and secondly, it takes too long. But really, I think the crux of the matter is money. I mean, stop and think. Forbes always puts out the billionaires every year.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of years ago, I looked at it, and you were able to say how many of them were Jewish. And at that time, 50% of there's like over 500 billionaires there, and 50% of them were Jewish, American. These are Americans. And when I looked for it the other day, it's Forbes Israel, and I couldn't get the information. So the point I'm trying to make is that although they're small in numbers, you pointed out many times, less than 3%, they are 50% of the billionaires, and money talks, and everybody else walks.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is that the people do have power, and it's the power of spending their money. And as you pointed out many times, is that if we're going to live a life of crass materialism and collect things and go out shopping to buy what we like, not what we need, or turning likes into needs, why then we're going to be in our trap that we're in now.
Exactly.
So we got to control every dime we spend. We got to decide where it goes, and we got to get away from Amazon. We got to get away from the big box stores. We got to walk in our communities and see what's in the small store. Support small business. These are people, and that was where our power is. Take the money away from the billionaires.
Yes, absolutely. Don't shop at the big box stores. Go to your ma and pa local businesses and do business with them. Shop at your local farm market. Support local farmers. Stay away from all the huge grocery stores and outlets because they're feeding us garbage, literally. Yeah. I mean, loaded with food. As a matter of fact, I saw another post. Our people are talking about all the food additives and how it's affected the hormone levels of humanity, and I've talked about that numerous times. I mean, we just got to get away from all of the corporate garbage that they're throwing at us. So you're absolutely right. Support your local businesses.
Okay. So. Thanks a lot. Great to have you there, and great to be able to talk to him.
Well, thank you for your contribution to the show today. You be good. Have a nice weekend.
All right.
God bless.
Thanks. Same to you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, before the calls came in, I mentioned yesterday that Joe Kent, of course, he was, he wanted to investigate the Charlie Kirk assassination, and Kash Patel blocked him from doing so. Why do you suppose he would do that? Kash Patel, just like, so many other members of Trump's cabinet, it seems that once they got into a position of power, they have totally flip-flopped. And I have to ask the question, why? Why is it that they've done a complete 180 on everything that they campaigned and were talking about? What possible factors could be involved in influencing them to completely do an about-face? What could it be?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Yeah, you've all heard those three words. I've got a T-shirt available at our website you can get with those three words on it: bribery, coercion, and blackmail. Go to the WTFReports.com and scroll down to the bottom and pick up some merch. Yeah, but those three words, those are the tools that are used to manipulate and control all of our elected officials. 93 out of 100 senators are all paid off by AIPAC. And again, we've seen the videos of people going through the halls of Congress and, excuse me, Senator or Congressman, is it USA first or Israel first? And they turn and scurry away. I mean, a non-answer is an answer. There should be no hesitation if somebody comes up, hey, is it America first or Israel first? They should stand up proudly, stick their chest out and put their chin up and say, I'm America first. Hoorah! God bless you. But no, that's not what happens. Excuse me, sir, are you America first or Israel first? They put their head down and they scurry away. Shame. Shame. These people are committing treason. And it's across the board. We have been occupied. We are living in an occupied country. Anyway, I digress. Joe Kent was talking with Tucker Carlson, and I thought I'd share this little clip. Here it is.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted. The Iranian strategy, it's actually pretty pragmatic. The Iranians are obviously aware of what's taking place in their region. And their strategy was to not completely abandon their nuclear program because they saw what happened to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya when he said, hey, I've got no more nukes. I'll do what you say. I'll give up my nukes.
And we gave him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, we regime changed him, and he was executed by his own people in the most horrific way.
Oh, sodomized by a bayonet. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the lesson, I think, that the entire region took from that when Hillary Clinton.
Unfortunately, that is what the neocon, neoliberal warmongers, that's the lesson that they showed everyone in the region. And then conversely, the Iranians also knew that if they came out and said, okay, we've got a nuke, whether they were bluffing or not, Saddam Hussein, Iraq right next door. So they kind of had
he hung, I think.
He was hung by his own people, after a bloody, war that's still essentially going on inside of Iraq. So the Iranians' position, when viewed from the lens of the region, was actually fairly pragmatic. They were preventing, themselves from developing a bomb, but they still wanted the ability. They wanted the ability to enrich. They wanted the ability to have some components so that they weren't completely stripped of it. And when we always assessed that they were either several months or a year, 2 years away from actually being able to develop a nuclear weapon, and that's not because the Iranians are stupid people. I think we can tell right now that the Iranians are anything but stupid. They had the ability, I think, that the brain power to actually develop one, or they could have simply traded a ton of oil with Pakistan or with someone else to actually get a nuclear weapon. They were not doing that. We had no intelligence to indicate that they were.
Okay, that's Joe Kent. So you can understand why now he's under severe attack. And no, they don't want people to know that. And I have to ask a common sense question. There is one group of people, obviously, that are involved in, shall we say, sex trafficking, raping little boys and girls, sacrificing, bloodletting, cannibalizing, torturing. There's one group of people that make that standard operating procedure. And I don't think it's the Iranians. And that's why they're calling this the Epstein factor or the Epstein war. And I said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll keep on saying it until people finally get it. If there is a huge controversy, if there is something that is so gargantuan in its corruption, and people are starting to pay attention to it, then those who are involved in that type of nefarious activity have to create a diversion. And the bigger the controversy, the bigger the corruption, that means the bigger the distraction has to be. That's common sense, folks. So maybe that's what this whole conflict, this whole war in Iran is all about. And this is huge. And the gargantuan, the enormity of the situation over there only goes to show you the enormity of the controversy of the Epstein files. And don't think that they don't have them. I think the Anthony Weiner laptop, the Biden laptop, and the Epstein files have been circulated. Yeah, I think that, Iran's got them, Russians got them, China's got them. They've all got these files. They all know. And the United States and the UK and all the other countries that were involved in that crap, they are absolutely desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. Witness what's going on in Iran right now. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for another week of crazy broadcasting here on the WTF Reports. If you're listening on Rumble or BitChute or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, please click like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. And then visit the website, TheWTFReports.com, and do some business with our advertisers. That's how we pay the bills. Anyway, you have a wonderful weekend. Hold yourself together. Stay in the light. Keep your vibration and your frequency high. God bless you all. Have a safe and secure weekend. God willing, I'll see you on Monday.